And you're dealing with a larger power, three-phase, 480 systems. In a nutshell, those are the differences in the programs. Do you guys have questions that that I can specifically address? I just don't want to flood. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just curious, where do you guys hold your training for these classes that you're talking about?
We're based out of Carlsbad, and we hold the trainings throughout the nation. We even go international, but here we're doing it at the Manchester Center.
Okay. You mentioned something about an asset certification earlier. I understand there's a pre-qualifier for even sitting for the exam that requires X amount of years of experience in the supervisory position.
So you're talking about the certification, and we're talking about the certificate of knowledge.
Okay.
The certificate, yeah, the installation certification, you're absolutely correct. You're going to need a number of installs. You're going to have relative experience. A lot of guys get that from doing, like, if they come from an electrical field. A lot of people start with the certificate of knowledge because there is a component in there where you can use those hours of training as some of your background for the education. Yeah, and then what you can do is, what they're going to say is they're going to want a number of installs where you're the lead. So, not just jumping on a system and being like, hey, I assisted. You're going to have documented installs where you're the lead. You turn that all into NABCEP. Similar with like the GC test, they're going to approve whether you're not able to fit. They do it in September and March, 2 times a year. I think the closest for you guys is in LA, unfortunately. I don't remember seeing one any further. And you just apply 55 days prior. It's a bit costly. It's about $400 out of pocket. But that's handled all through them.
So how much do you get paid for installing after you get out of school?
In Carlsbad, I've seen on the low end about $12. I'd say 10 to 12. Most recently, we've had guys walking out getting into the highest range of about 19 to 20. And again, it's going to depend on your background. Oftentimes, guys kind of start a little bit low, and within 6 to 8 months, they've jumped up quite a bit. Especially if they're proactive and they take a lot of what they learn in the class. But it's a dedication, like Steve was saying. It's kind of like it's a full-time job. Like if you're taking that 2-week class, you got to kind of drop everything and really be proactive and absorb all that you can to then go out and apply it. And that's relative to your bosses, your potential bosses and employers, because when they recognize that in you, that's what I'm talking about is the ladder chain. It can be significant.
Are these classes hands-on or also?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. No, there's hands-on components. So in the PV class, we have a little lab that you do. One of the labs that we set up is thin film technology. So you can take, hopefully it's not a day like today, but you can take it outside. You can actually do the shading issue. So it looks kind of like linoleum flooring. And you can take it out and fold it in half and actually see like a DC fan slow down and crease. In the wind class, we actually have a small some micro turbine that you guys actually put together. And you spin it with a drill just because it's so low to the ground to read the voltage. But you'll put that together, and then you can start putting the components of the class, like how it would turn into the wind and things like that, into play. But yeah, there is it's a small portion of hands-on, just because we're traveling.
And the instructors that we have bring in a lot of experience. We have PowerPoint slides of pictures. We have other components in electric power to come in just to kind of give you a feel for what's going on. We have example problems that we discuss and go over with the students so they get a feel for, actually designing and what are the different elements in this. Also, there's another certification coming out in wind. There's ETA, and we're involved in that. So we can, as that progresses, we can talk about other certifications that will help you get jobs. Because Applied Professional Training, we're an accredited college, and we're recognized by major employers. We do a lot of custom work for major power utilities. So we actually keep a file on job opportunities that we can also help and work with the career experts in the back and giving them information to help them find jobs for you. We've had many students come back to us about the jobs they have. And we also have many manufacturers and service providers that are contacting us. For example, one of the largest companies that does blade repair on these giant wind turbines. If anybody here likes to rappel, we'd probably get you a job hanging off the hubs of some of these 250-foot high wind turbines. Okay, get you to repair these blades like you would surfboard beams. Okay. Or clean them or paint them, but there's a huge opportunity for that. When you see all these turbines all across the country, and I see them all the time. I'm involved in a lot of that type of work. And if you could picture the huge demand for wind blade repair. We also have companies in the generation side of it. We have contacting us because they want to take students out of our classes and help see them get into their jobs because they're looking for people too. This is an industry that is growing, and as we move forward, companies like Southern Cal Edison and their million rooftop projects, a lot of these power companies that are looking for help are putting up solar systems on rooftops. Why? Because they have to cancel out their carbon footprint with renewable, sustainable energy, or they get fined for how much carbon they put in the air from their coal plants. So some of these big wind farms you see out there, yes, you can get money for their energy they're producing, but these companies also buy into those because it offsets the pollution that they're making on the other end. So you end up with a win-win situation, and we're going to be around to help you. We've offered this class many times all across the country. We also can help you if somebody's interested with like applications. The telephone companies, for example, AT&T putting up wind and solar, mainly solar panels to run a lot of their electronics. You see it on the side of the freeways. You see the traffic signal industry and running a lot of their systems on solar. So there's a huge application. When I fly into airports, I look at the rooftops and I look and see how bare they are. I know 5 years from now they're going to be covered. I mean, that's just going to be the way things are going, just a big push that way. And I think there's a lot of opportunity. Are there any other questions?
When does class start?
We're looking at, if the enrollment's, obviously through this, it's looking at, I believe, the 26th this month. Mm-hmm. So that would start, the green energy is first, the 26th through the first week of November, yeah. And then the industrial and commercial is the last week. I think you end sometime around the 9th or something, the 9th through the 12th.